So the first topic is actually something that happened in Q1, which is Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi crashing. I think that's the first thing on Q1 that happened.
Yep.
And what are your thoughts on that? Like when you first saw the accident, what did you think happened? Did you blame anybody in particular?
I I mean, well, we can start the conversation on Lance Stroll, but we can also do it for later. But he's got a history of not looking in his mirrors. But when it first happened, I was like, I thought it was Latifi's fault
I
because I
thought it
was
was
like,
Latifi's fault as well.
I was like, what is he doing? Like he slowed down, let Stroll pass, and then like tried to accelerate out of nowhere, and crash. Afterwards, and after the
I think
stewards,
when they first showed the footage, it didn't seem like a Stroll veered into the right. It isn't until like they slow it down that you just see a Stroll like just like whoop,
yeah, out of nowhere.
yeah, out of nowhere, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, a Stroll just fooling, just he wasn't paying attention.
yeah, he was but this is the thing. Okay, so he's in a warm-up lap, right? And
They
like
were both in a warm up lap
right,
or in a cool down, whatever.
and behind him, I guess there was somebody also that was coming along. So they were like move out of the way. So if you're like cooling down or on a prep lap, you're probably looking at your steering wheel because you're like chilling, right? Like you're not like actively like looking, just like you just move to the side when somebody tells you to move to the side. It is a little baffling to me that Latifi will want to come on the inside. I I mean, I know the stewards give the penalty to Stroll, but I don't think it was right. I actually don't think it was Stroll's fault because like
Ooh,
he
controversial.
I guess it's controversial. I really don't think it is because I think he kind of like moved a little to the right, and then Latifi like he was just going too fast. Like what is he what is Latifi doing? And
Yeah, Latifi did go on the inside, which is like it's a little weird. Like, hey, he just overtook me.
yeah,
He's towards the right hand side of the track.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go even farther right, is what Latifi's thinking.
And there was
So
barely a gap there to begin with, and there was a car coming behind them. So it's like if there's a car coming behind you, and you're trying to like make way, and the driver in front might be also making way. I mean, I guess the stewards think that like Stroll didn't have to do that, but to me it seemed like it was like Latifi did something out of nowhere, and he was going really fast enough that Stroll didn't even have time to do anything, and Stroll just moved and boom, just like
yeah,
the
I
guy
mean,
the
so
guy
the
just went off.
reasoning is like if you're the car in front and you're the one slowing down, you should be paying attention to your mirrors if you have cars behind you.
Yeah,
Like even if the team is telling you, hey, there's a car coming behind, it's like you just overtook a car and then you slow down. So that car might want to overtake you again, and then you're not paying attention.
yeah,
I think Stroll was perhaps paying attention to the Alfa Romeo that was probably coming behind
yeah,
and just forgot about Latifi. He's like, oh yeah, I overtook Latifi. There's no way that Latifi is gonna overtake me back. And he just like wasn't paying attention. And then like, oh Latifi, oh we just crashed.
hmm,
So it is like I agree that maybe Latifi's fault. Like, hey, you shouldn't go on the inside. Like it's like a little weird that Stroll is actually making room on the left hand side of the track so cars can overtake him, and then Latifi decided to go on the right hand side like of Stroll. But then again,
yeah.
even though that's weird, it's up to the car in front to be paying attention to the cars behind you. So that's why, like, I think, I don't know, percentage wise, what would you rate it? I think it's like 80% Stroll's fault.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
80%? No, no way. I'm gonna put it 60% on Latifi. And I think I will say this. I think the reason,
You
I mean,
think
I
it's
know,
60 Latifi's fault, 60% on
yes,
Latifi?
60%,
Okay.
40% Stroll. And I'll say that like the ruling of the FIA on this, I think was based more, and I don't know if they say this formally or not, but I think in order to make it fair to the teams, it was more based on the amount of damage that the Williams received afterwards, because the Williams got fucked up, like it was total like afterwards, like the back wing, the old like the
Yeah.
suspension, everything was fucked. Whereas the no, the what's it called,
Aston Martin.
yeah, as the Aston Martin, just like literally just broke the front suspension, and it's like whatever, that they replace it's like their candy. So so like no, I think that's the reason why it was harsher on Stroll and why they blamed it on him.
Yeah.
Did he receive any license points for that?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Because I honestly, I mean, yes, Stroll's got a history of not looking at his
Yeah.
mirrors. Yes, we have a whole playlist on that now.
Yeah. So for those that are listening, we made a playlist of like 10 different crashes that Lance Stroll has had since he joined Formula One,
Yeah.
where he has turned into cars because he hasn't been looking in his mirrors.
Yeah.
Like this is not like a one-off event. He's just known, and we said it on the last podcast.
Mhm.
It's like, hey,
Mhm.
this guy is
Yeah.
like he just doesn't look at the mirrors, and then people end up crashing onto him, and then they get the penalty and he doesn't. And I'm like, I don't know, like, oh, if a car just turns into you, like they don't get a penalty and I do. It's like, how does that make any sense? And I was complaining about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy specifically has a lot of like a record of doing this.
Yeah.
And then I went and looked back, and then I'm like, look at all of these instances.
Yes.
I looked at like Lance Stroll crashes, and then like I started analyzing all of them, and I'm like, look, this guy just does the same
always
thing.
same thing. Every time that he crashes is like the same thing.
He just turns into somebody, or well, the other one is like he wrecks the car and he crashes on his own. But like every time that he crashes like with another driver, is him turning into them.
Yeah.
10 times. That's like that's not an anomaly. It's like he just does it.
I know that we didn't put this in a compilation, and maybe we could talk about it afterwards. But there was also that one in Canada when he crashed into Harley back in the day.
Brandon Harley. Yeah, but I think like on that one, like
That
at the
one-
beginning,
That
I don't
one
know.
is like they were like this, but like he actually did close in on him. Like it was
Like,
kind of
yeah,
similar.
he went on that. Yeah, I didn't put it on the compilation because I
Yeah.
feel like it could be like 50-50. Like
Mhm.
they were coming in too fast, and then he opened up the car and not expecting Harley to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't put it in the compilation for that reason. But I do remember that crash.
Yeah.
That was like
so
one of the first ones that came to mind.
That's the only time that I can think of Scroll like crashing out. That like it wasn't like like just him not looking in the mirror, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean yeah. That's my verdict on that. I say 60% Latifi and 40% Stroll, but I think this is just so much more costly for Williams, who already like had like two crashes last weekend, and now Latifi's crashing again. I was like, bro, at least you gotta be more careful. Like, come on, like what are you doing? Like this,
Which I think
mean,
like for Latifi specifically, I think he was so slow this weekend. They
yeah,
probably told him like, dude, we don't care if you finish last, just bring the car home.
just bring the car. Yeah, like that's all we need you to do at this point.
Yeah, which we can go a little bit into that, like
yeah, we can go into that a little bit later.
parentheses. Like right now, it's like I think that we talked about it also, like the point system in Formula One makes no sense, because why would Williams finish a race with Latifi?
Yeah,
it's like, hey, like we're gonna end last. He's like 30 seconds behind the next guy over. Like he's not gonna be in the points. Just like, let's retire the car. Let's save the engine. I don't know why they don't do that. I also like
there may actually be some rules about that from the FIA that you can't just like quit in the middle of a race.
quit. Yeah, we're gonna have to look that up. Like why don't drivers just like, oh, I'm not in the top 10 and I'm not gonna end there anytime soon. Let's just retire. I know that maybe the teams can gather data. But it's like, is the data worth it when like the guy is like running last 30 seconds behind the next guy? Like he's just so slow. Is any data of that worth it? But maybe I'm assuming.
I mean, the other reason might be just to like for accidents. Like if there's an accident, you think that like, your guy can benefit, maybe. But like if it's like lap like 45, and like you guys on like 18th, like he's not gonna score any points. I mean, like. There's no safety car incident that like is gonna make everybody pit in front of him and give him like 7th or something. You know, it's just not gonna happen. So and even then it would just be incredibly unlikely. So you might as well just retire the car. So yeah, there must be some sort of a rule on that we're just not aware of.
Yeah,
that, like,
maybe the sponsors also pressure the cars into like, hey,
maybe.
you need to be out there. Why are we sponsoring a car that like
doesn't finish?
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, the whole Stroll thing, I'm not a fan of Stroll. I'm not a fan of Latifi either. How convenient that they're both Canadian. I don't want to sound like xenophobic against Canadians, but for some reason they are not good. Even though I mean they
I
have
can say
a
that about all Canadians.
Jacques
Yeah,
Villeneuve, Jacques,
Villeneuve, yeah,
like he world champion. So there's
right.
nothing specific. Like I think Canadians can be really good drivers. Just specifically these two
Yeah,
are just like at the bottom of of all of Formula One.
yeah. At the moment, that's it's unfortunate. I don't know if it has to do with them being Canadian specifically.
No, no, I know that's just that they just happen to be Canadian,
They
and
happen to be
also they both
Canadian.
happen to be like
Yeah,
the drivers we criticize the most.
yeah. I mean, I don't know, but they're actually not the worst. I mean, I think Latifi this year he's just been more prone to crashing, and Stroll in previous years he's been fast enough that he deserves to be in Formula One, and he's not been the slowest. Like in previous years you had Giovinazzi,
Well,
or
I
you
thought Giovinazzi
had
was terrible. Oh, Mazepin last year.
Mazepin. Mazepin was terrible in previous. So Harley back in the day, or Sirotkin.
Oh, Sergei Sirotkin was also pretty bad.
Yeah. Oh, so he's never been that bad. He's always been kind of there. It's
Who,
just like
Latifi?
no, Stroll.
Yeah,
Stroll
Stroll.
always
Yeah,
been
Stroll has
okay.
always been there. Yeah, he has a good race pace. I
Race
think
pace is good. Yeah.
his qualifying is the part that he doesn't do very good on.
Yeah.
But his race
he's
pace
always
is pretty
struggled with that.
decent. Yeah.
Mhm.
And well, now it's just that he also doesn't have like a good like awareness around his car, which we like been noticing.
But okay, so
but the other one is Latifi. Well, okay, what were you gonna say?
No, since we're just talking about Stroll, I gotta say that
Yes.
like
This is the Stroll moment.
I reviewed all the footage. I've seen all 10 videos. I don't think it's his fault. I honestly, in like maybe in like 80% of those, I don't think he's in the wrong. I'll say that. Not that it's not his fault, because you can always prevent a crash. I feel like you can always give him more space. But I don't think he was wrong necessarily in closing the door in a lot of those. I think he has this habit of like he squares the corners too much. Like he goes deep and then like comes in like very into the apex to get like a good exit. I think that's generally what he does. And a lot of drivers interpret that as like there's a space for me. He left the door open. I'm gonna get my car in there. But if you see the footage of all of those crashes, in my opinion, the car behind is never far enough ahead. They always try to like launch on him, but they're never far enough ahead to the point that I have to say like Stroll didn't have that corner. And on all of those, I think the rule is clear, and I kind of support the rule of like if your car is not even like next to the other car, like the other car doesn't have to yield to you. It makes things very very simple for me. And like in a lot of those crashes, I just don't think there was a few that I think that I could probably go back and see exactly which ones they were. That
what
I was
do you
like,
think
okay.
of the Verstappen Stroll in Portugal?
I that an example. Well, actually, they weren't racing, but I don't think it was his fault. I think it was Verstappen's fault. Because like, what's Verstappen doing? He's just sitting on the guy in the back of his car. Stroll is obviously not slowing down, and he's just. I mean, he's gonna turn in, but like if Verstappen wasn't making an attempt to pass him, and he wasn't even on the side, it is not necessarily the right thing to crash your car in practice like that. But if we're talking about racing, he doesn't have to yield. so there is something to say about the code that drivers have, the unspoken code that like maybe you should just give more space to the guy in training, whatever. But I also don't know what Verstappen was doing. At best, I give it 50-50.
He did push. What about the in the race in Australia just now when he pushed Valtteri off the road?
Was that Stroll?
Yeah, that was Stroll.
Okay, I thought for some reason I thought it was not one of the Alpha Tauri's. I thought it was fine. It was a little much, but fine. Like,
yeah, I think it's turning that area. Like, was that a penalty? I could see an argument for both it being a penalty and both not being a penalty.
Yeah.
I think it was just like very hard racing.
He was trying hard to hold on to that spot at the end there.
And the other one, since we're on the bandwagon of Stroll criticism at the moment, everything is Stroll now.
Yeah, this is a Stroll time, baby.
It's Stroll time.
The only show that's ever gonna do this.
How about him weaving in the main straight?
I don't know, man. I because we've talked about weaving, and I guess now all of a sudden, because he's like the 14th place. If Charles Leclerc was doing that, nothing happens.
If Max Verstappen does it for the
it-
championship,
nothing happens. But all of a sudden now, and we've been saying this, he's not a main contender. He's fighting for maybe like a point or two. They don't give a fuck. They're gonna be like, no, that's a penalty. It's so clear now. Like you're not supposed to whiff. But oh, if the championship leader is doing it on the last lap of the last race, that's not we cannot touch that. The entertainment is it's too good, right? So no, I don't know if you're gonna stay consistent with the rules.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Maybe a warning. Although I think they might have given him a warning. But no. No, I would say it's not quite right if you see the previous history of those type of things.
I'm not a fan of the weaving. How about like that question for you? Like if people weave, like, hey, it's not consistent. Like sometimes they give penalties, sometimes they don't. But overall, do you think that weaving like that should be allowed?
No, it should. I
you cannot race a guy that is like just moving across the entire track in front of you.
Yeah.
So it's dangerous. So
Like,
I do agree that you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
I think you get some amount of movement, but like very limited, and like it's kind of dangerous. And like it will only take one event in which like a driver is doing that for somebody to like tap them in the wheel and like them go flying off in a straight like at like 300 miles an hour. Like it's very difficult. And the other thing, it just doesn't feel fun. It feels like the guy ahead is trying to disrupt like the DRS effect. And like I don't know. I don't like that. It's not, I don't know. It's not, it doesn't feel like the correct record racing type of racing that I want to see. I don't want to see like, I don't know, like it's kind of like a cheap trick in my opinion to stay ahead because it's difficult to pass somebody that's weaving that much.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to talk about now that just to finish up the Stroll info is that eventually if drivers get up to 12 penalty points, they're supposed to get one race ban.
Oh,
now that has not, I think he's at 8 at the moment.
Okay.
And it has to be 12 penalty points within a 1 year, like a 12-month period of time.
Yeah,
right?
they delete after that.
After every time, like one of the penalty points gets 12 months being there, it just gets stricken off the record.
Yeah.
So Stroll is at 8. I don't know if he's the one that has the most. I think he is. But that's like a rule that was introduced recently in like modern Formula One that as of now, it hasn't happened.
Nobody's
people haven't gotten 12 penalty points. I also don't know why they chose 12. I don't know where that number comes from. It's also like, hey,
arbitrary.
They say like, oh, it's 12 penalty points for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, yeah. I don't know. I guess if I had to guess, I'll give him the chance of doubt, the benefit of the doubt. They probably said like, what's the hardest penalty that we have? And I don't know. It's probably like three points on your license or something.
I think it's 2 points. 2 points.
There's no 3 points.
I know.
And they said like, listen, if you do 6 of those through like for like an entire season, then you get a race ban. And it is kind of like, why 6? But that's the best I can do.
Yeah. Best I can do is do that explanation.
Is that explanation of like they think that 6 penalties is the right amount? Because maybe it's because it's rare to get 6.
I want to see somebody getting a race ban. I really want to see, but I highly doubt that the FIA would ever let that happen.
Like enforce it.
Yeah.
Or like people are like, ooh,
that driver is getting to 12 points close. It's like they're gonna be a little bit more lenient with that driver. They don't like, and it feels like, why? Like we're all signed up for the rules. I don't want leniency. I just want like something concrete. And this has always been a criticism since the beginning of this podcast. Like from all the episodes before, is like the rules are not consistent.
Yeah.
They're lenient towards somebody, they're strict towards the others.
Yeah.
So I do want to see that race ban because I want Formula One to have that precedent. It's like the rules are more important than the sport.
I mean, I guess I can see that, but if we don't reach
or than the entertainment,
I like to. Well, I mean, I guess I like to see a race ban for like an incident that's bad enough that like you like you deliberately took a driver out or something like that. I guess I would
Mhm.
like to see that, because that also sets a precedent. But I don't know. I mean, they put the rules into place. I feel like there's been a couple of scary moments where like some drivers have gotten close, but not quite getting there. I think Norris got kind of close. I think Grosjean got kind of close, but they never got the race ban. So yes, it will be interesting, but I'm not like actively. I think because I think it is a kind of a harsh penalty, so they're trying not to let it get. And also it's kind of hard to know when they do and they don't make the ruling for like the license points. So it's gonna they're keeping it like on the down low a little bit. It's hard to judge, but I don't know. I mean I'm not like committed to the idea of like give somebody a race ban just because, or like not because
No,
just because, but because they deserve it or something like that.
yeah, I want a race ban because somebody deserves the race ban,
Yeah.
and like
Hmm.
because those were the rules people signed up for.
Yeah.
So as long as like the rules are consistent, that's all you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Anyways, I guess that's
Anyways, that's
it
the
for the
stroll.
stroll hour. Again, I think I have after we put a whole, or after you put a whole playlist together of like him crashing, it is kind of interesting that I still think that like it's not all of his fault, and that like he actually still deserves to be in Formula One somewhat.
I think he still deserves to be in Formula One. I just think he has just that. He just turns in without caring about who's on the inside of him.
Yeah.
And I think like, and then the people that he turns into are the ones that get penalties, and he
Mhm.
doesn't. So that's the fact that like that's the thing I have an issue with.
I think yeah,
So
the one with Lando Norris, where
there are two with Lando Norris, one in Spain and one in Portugal.
the one in Portugal, where like lap two, that one was like pretty clearly him. Like I don't know what he was doing. And I agree with like Lando Norris's commentary there.
He
uh,
apologized at the end of the race, but
for saying that, yeah,
yeah.
but I think it's still Stroll's fault, what he did. But in any case,
In any
yes,
case,
I think we can call it on Stroll for now.
all right,
We'll
let's go
we'll
there.
we'll keep up with this. We'll maybe add more to the playlist as the year goes along.